Hello, this is Bart with American Weathermakers, and today we're going to discuss your water heater and things to be careful about, things to be aware of concerning a water heater. A lot of times they're so reliable that people just pretty much ignore them. But there's a lot of safety issues when it comes to a water heater that we want to kind of help you to be aware of today. Here's a water heater, and it's in a real life situation here. It's a tight spot. Maybe your water heater might be in a basement, but here it's on the first floor. Just generally looking over the water heater, we can see here's your cold pipe coming in, and it's usually indicated, usually on the top, and it might have like the word cold embossed in there. And here is blue. The around the pipe it's blue. On the other side, it has hot embossed, and it's red. When the water heater is actually working, this pipe's going to get cold, and this one's going to leave being hot. The pipe in the middle, this is your flue pipe. And this is what takes all the flue gas and sends it up the chimney. When we stand here and we look at this water heater, we notice one thing. This device on the side is a relief valve that's operated by temperature and pressure. So if it gets too hot and the control malfunctions, the controller down here, this is called the thermostat, and it controls the temperature of your water. And if this ever goes bad, instead of just making 160 degree water, it could boil the water and start generating steam and create a very high pressure problem. That's where this device works and relieves that pressure. You notice here that there's on the side of this, there's normally supposed to be a pipe that's inserted in here and screwed in. And in this case, when they installed this water heater, they didn't put that in. And this pipe would normally come down within 6 inches of the floor. And that's so when this thing ever opened, it wouldn't just blow boiling water upon you or a child. And this case, this is not safe. So this is something this homeowner is going to have to address. Also, when you're looking at your water heater, they have this control down here, which a lot of people are very unfamiliar. This is fairly a standard control, and it has very hot, and then it has letters C, B, A, and you may be wondering why didn't they just put numbers and temperature numbers? Well, these devices aren't that sophisticated, so they didn't really want to commit to a certain number because for liability, they don't want to tell you exactly what it's going to be. So if it was a little bit off and somebody got hurt, they don't want to claim the liability. But there's 160 is usually very hot, and then every increment down is 10 degrees. So C is 150, B is 140, A is 130, and so on. And some people, when they go away, they might turn it all the way down, so it's not wasting gas when they're on vacation or something. And this here is the drain valve, which if you want to drain the water heater, or let's say your water heater all of a sudden developed a great leak and you're having flooding occurring, you could hook up a hose to this and run it down an appropriate drain and bleed the pressure off. Okay, and that's if your system's leaking and you're flooding. Another thing you want to do is you go from where the cold, which we addressed earlier, you want to be able to shut the water off to your water heater. So you go from the cold pipe and you go away from the water heater and you go to your first valve, which would be this one, and you shut it. Okay? That would prevent any new water from coming in if you are at one point flooding. Now a lot of times, because the water heater is generally very reliable, people don't really take care of the maintenance on them like they should. But what happens, and typically when you show customers, they're pretty surprised, but when you take this all apart and you take the burner out, a lot of times it can be like a whole mountain of rust in there. And what can happen is if it all blocks off the flow of the gas, the flame in there, you can start having where the flames back out the front. And sometimes you look and somebody it'll be like all like browns, brown like soot-looking stuff, where it's kind of stained and tarnished. That might be something you really want to have checked out, because it could be indicating that you're all blocked up in there, Another thing is you can see here with this one, if your flue pipe, if the gases aren't effectively going up the flue pipe, it can tend to, so you can see how this red marker for the hot pipe is kind of little, you can see where it's melted a little bit, and a little tiny bit here. That's saying at one point the flue gas wasn't going up properly, so it started overheating and melting those pieces. All right, these are just things you want to kind of look at, and if there's like, you can see where the paint or different things where it's rust, different things that you can look at. You can say, well, maybe I should have this thing checked out. Really, you should have your water heater checked out. The manufacturer recommends once a year, but you really want to do it at least every 2 or 3 years, no matter what. All right, in this case, we've got the burner compartment down here, and this is a device that called a thermocouple. And the thermocouple is a little rod mechanism which would be very difficult for you to view